Showtime! The Capital G show starts right now.
What's up YouTube, Capital G here, talking OCG banlist in this video, and I was on my way to Shriek to do some research on a card that really caught my eye. I'm going to do a discussion video on it. It's like a really new synchro, it's powerful, you know, that's not the whole point of this video, but anyways, lo and behold, the front page of Shriek currently has the February 1st, 2014 OCG ban list. And, you know, I took a peek at it and I was like, okay, well, let me just see what's going on in the OCG. Let me see what shockers are on here, you know, so on and so forth. And personally, I don't make a note of keeping up with the OCG meta. It doesn't apply to the TCG like at all. So if you ask me what were the best decks of their last OCG meta, I'd probably just say off the top of my head, you know, Mermail, E-Dragons, and let's throw in Verz, you know, just because those are three good decks, and I know that they were still left highly playable in the OCG. I have no idea if that's accurate or not. Those would be three decks that I pick. And the craziest thing that I noticed looking over this list is not some of the ridiculous things that they did. It's the mindset of Konami of Japan versus the mindset of Konami of America. You know what I mean? And it seems that Konami of America is very, very restrictive. You know, they're very, very conservative. The answer is to just ban, 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 limit, 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 limit. And you look at Konami of Japan, and it's like they're bringing back cards, they're bringing back more cards, and they're banning very few cards. You know what I mean? It's almost like, you know, the list itself is like created by a player. So let's go over the list fully, and then in the end, I guess I'll contrast Konami of America versus Konami of Japan and their different mindsets, and I'll give some of my opinions on what they did and what they didn't do. Alright, forbidden cards, Return from the Different Dimension, absolutely agree, thumbs up, everybody agrees with that for the most part. You know, E-Dragons broke the card. It was already a broken card. You shouldn't be able to pay half your life points, summon 5 monsters, and essentially win. E-Dragons just made it worse, but even if E-Dragons wasn't a deck, it was only a matter of time before some archetype revolved around banishing. It just made the card uber broken. Limited cards, HERO Bubbleman, Atlantean Dragoons, Cyber-Stein, just take that in. Cyber-Stein is legal in Japan now. Evilswarm Ophion, Sacred Sword of the Seven Stars, Gold Sarcophagus. Okay, so first limit, Bubbleman. I like this limit a lot. I think that it was done to try and save Stratos, and I think that it's going to be effective. You know, I feel like all the Stratos damming really just revolved around all the Hero Lives bullshit, whether that be the first turn shock locks, which you could still do in Japan, or the, you know, OTKs caused by Excalibur and Blade Armor Ninja and all of that bullshit. You know, that was really the sole purpose that Stratos kind of came under fire. You look at the ramifications of it being banned in the TCG, and it's like nothing with the word heroes can be ran at a competitive level anymore. Evil heroes, E-heroes, Destiny heroes, they're just all crap now because they don't have their general anymore. They don't have Stratos. They don't have their superstar. Atlantean Dragoons I'm fine with. Like, it made the Mermail deck way too fast. I mean, it searches like literally 90% of the fucking monsters they run. Like, it even searches monsters that most people don't run, like Moon and Glacier. And the Mermail deck has like 90,000 discard outlets. So you never, ever, ever had to worry about it being stuck in your hand. I just felt like it did too much for a monster with still a pretty impressive 1800 attack. Cyber-Stein, now this is the card that probably made everybody's jaw drop to the floor. Here's the thing about Cyber-Stein, and I mean, this really is poor card design at its highest. Like, I've said it before, there is no skillful way to use Cyber-Stein. I say that because Cyber-Stein is used pretty much exclusively to OTK. I mean, when you use Cyber-Stein's effect, you know damn well you want to end the game that turn because you've paid over half your life points. Not to mention you summon a monster, you know, generally with 28 to 5,000 attacks. So you've invested a lot into summoning that monster. You want to make sure that you get bang for your buck, which means you want to close the game out that turn. You don't want to give your opponent any opportunity to use that monster against you or to try and counter the game-ending push that you're attempting. I mean, Cyber-Stein literally is putting all of your eggs in one basket. Now, I don't think that it's a card that is healthy for the game. I do understand why they brought it back. Don't forget, Konami did promise us that they would unban every single card on the ban list at one time. Not to mention, you can't undervalue the introduction of hand traps into the competitive meta. You know, cards like Swift Scarecrow and Battle Fader, Effect Veiler, Maxine, Trago, Gores, none of these cards existed when Cyber-Stein was a thing. So when Cyber-Stein was wrecking shit up after you giant tornado your opponent, you know, there was no answer. There was no way for your opponent to stop it. Now, you can employ any of these cards I mean, you stop a Cyber-Stein, you've pretty much sealed the deal. You have won the game. I'm not saying that it's your fault if you lose because you don't run hand traps and, you know, your opponent rips Cyber-Stein, but all I'm saying is it makes sense now to bring Cyber-Stein back if that's the reason that they're bringing it back, you know. Ophion got limited, and thank God that it did. I mean, first off, it searches a Forbidden Lance for the whole fucking art type and the whole field. I mean, that's ridiculous in itself. But secondly, it's the sole reason that decks like, you know, Chaos Dragons and Hieratics just cannot be consistently playable. I mean, if you run into Ophion, it's like you just auto lose. You know, you either have to side out your ass or do something completely unconventional to get around this card. Not to mention, it's like Evilswarm have so many great Xyzs. Like, they don't have a bad Xyz in the entire archetype, and they never use any of them because Ophion's like so much better. 7 stars, I'm good with. Sarcophagus, I'm good with 2. Those are both in the TCG. I think they needed to happen. Semi-limited cards. All the big dragons. Blaster, Redox, Tidal, Tempest, Honest, Plaguespreader, Lonefire. Okay, so Plaguespreader and Lonefire both happened in the TCG. I'm fine with. All the big dragons, I mean, that's like, duh. I mean, that should have happened in the OCG last format. Honest at 2 is something that I'm good with. I don't think it should go any higher than that. You look at Blackweeds, they have 3 Collude, and once again, you don't need to actually attack another monster to use Collude. You know, you look at Boujins, they have a monster that's very similar to Collude. Even Battling Boxers have a monster that's very similar in nature. I guess what I'm saying is, we're in an age where archetypes are having a lot more hand traps that alter attack values. You know, Honest does have the condition that it has to attack another monster. You know, I do think it's retarded that you can use it in damage calculation. I mean, why the fuck did they ever make that ruling? Anyways, you know, I think that Honest at 2 is fine. You know, when you used to look at Honest at 3, outside of when Lightsworn abused the hell out of it, the only other decks that used Honest in multiples were like, you know, heroes and control decks. You know, I think that that wouldn't change. Like, I really can't see Lightsworn getting big because of this, because Lightsworn's nature just makes the deck inconsistent. Like, I could see if I was running Hero Beat, I'd run 3 of these because, you know, you'd find it fucking hard to get over my Neos Alias or my Thunder King. Like, I think that Honest at 2 is legit. I don't think it should go to 3. I'm perfectly fine with it at 2. And then the no longer limited, you've got Gladiator Beast Bestiari, Agent of Mystery Earth, the Blue Dragon, Grand Mole, Gores, Thunder King. Thunder King Rai-Oh at 3, I definitely like that. I remember when I made a video about Rai-Oh at 3, you guys hated that. You said that it was going to be set 5 Rai-Oh all day and night. You know, I can live with 2 Rai-Oh, I can live with 3. I think 1, what we have in the TCG is like retarded because decks like Prophecy just rape your butthole. You know, Rai-Oh is a card where does it do a lot? Yes, it hurts both players. It has a good attack value. It's not something that's unkillable. It doesn't have any inherent protection against, well, against special summons it does. But, you know, I could definitely live with 2 Rai-Oh. I think 3 Rai-Oh would be perfectly fine. Gores, does anybody play Gores anymore? Grand Mole, I still don't understand why it's limited in the TCG. Like, stuff like this is what doesn't make sense. Bestiari is in the same category. Bestiari and Mole, I mean, why are these cards not at 3 in the TCG? So I think the interesting thing is, and the weird dynamic that exists between Konami of Japan and Konami of America is, Konami of Japan seems much more open to experimentation. You know, they'd rather let the players choose and let them make mistakes and then fix the mistakes, where Konami of America, I mean, they just say, no, we don't think you should use this, you're not using it ever. And I think, like, I fucking hate that. I mean, you know, you look at the last couple of Japanese lists, like they're unbanning Trishula and Cyber-Stein, and, you know, these are cards by most people's accounts are uber broken and probably shouldn't come back, but they're at least testing the waters. And I like that mindset a lot more. You know, I'd like to see what would happen if they unbanned Snatch Steel. You know, could we handle the card? And if we couldn't handle it, if it completely and utterly ruined the format, they could just ban it in 3 months anyway. You know, Konami of America has already done that with a card like 6 cents. The difference was, I mean, that shit was done strictly for profit. You know, we just got Magician of Fate back in. I mean, that card should have been back, like, what, 3 formats ago? We're just getting that back. So, you know, it's going to be interesting to see if Konami of America starts taking some of the influence from the Japanese game, because I'd like to see some of these cards back, even if it's just for a small amount of time. You know, they're experimenting a lot more in the Japanese formats, and I'd like to play under one of these lists. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you could use Cyber-Stein right now, if you would use it, and what deck you would use it in. Thank you for watching as always, and take care. Subscribing makes life happy.